You're listening to a Lost in the Groove segment.
Having good vibes with your bones and joints. Taking a trip into the groove. American groove into stoner world. Gonna play.
Are they just robots?
The same, like, okay.
If you're real, please let me know. Like, I
Jesus
want to
fucking
know.
Christ. Get the fuck out of here. This kind of reminds me of like the thing with the tornado, right? Which is weird.
The fucking tornadoes.
The fucking tornado.
That's why we didn't record last week, because I was in tornadoes.
Yeah, there was a fucking tornado in the morning.
Other people are afraid of tornadoes.
Yeah.
I'm not.
But here's I know you're not. But like here's the thing, right? Imagine if the tornado takes you to Oz.
Oh. You
Yeah.
were the only person. I don't know, for some reason, like, people who grow up, that looks so good. People who grow up around tornadoes don't think about that and the Wizard of Oz when they think about tornadoes, because, like, when we think about tornadoes, we think about, like, real life and, like, like, our things that, like, have happened in our lives and, like, stuff that we've heard and, like, what's it like to, like, deal with
right,
tornadoes.
Like not in a book that's like over 100 years old, you know?
No, and it's really strange how, like, people who don't live in a tornado, like, space, like an area of the country that could be hit by a tornado are
There's a twister!
Afraid of tornadoes. I'm like, why? What? That's like me being afraid of earthquakes in Iowa. You know, like, it's like being afraid of a flood in a desert. Like, what are you worried about?
I remember this. There was a ride in Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Where they would put you through the experience of what it would be like to go through a hurricane and a tornado. And I just like remember that. And I mean, I've experienced hurricanes before, but like that kind of virtual experience of a tornado was terrifying.
Well, they had it
Terrifying.
at Universal Studios, I think, or one of the parks, because it was kind of like a be in the movie kind of experience. So
Yeah.
it showed you what it was like the way that they create special effects in movies and how much they can, like, really, really make it feel like real. And I mean, they put massive amounts of research into recreating the tornado and hurricane experience. They also did the earthquake thing with King Kong.
That was amazing.
Was it King Kong where you go into the underground and it all it's like you're in like a subway station? Is that King Kong? There was one of them that was like forever ago, and you go into a subway station and the whole thing starts to like crumble down, and then all this water like comes through it, and like it's like freaking terrifying. Like, you feel like you're gonna die in a movie. And then like all of a sudden everything like retracts and it like goes away, and like it was just like fascinating.
I'm vaguely remembering this.
I think it was ruined and taken apart and turned into something else by the time you were like old enough to like really let it sink into your memory. I only got to do it like once, and I would have been like 6 years old.
Universal, it's very interesting because like we've talked about this before. Where
it used to be different. Yeah.
It was very different. Like Universal Studios and Island of Adventures, I'm talking about like the one in Orlando, were very different parks. Like Universal Studios was like Universal Studios. Like you would experience filmmaking, production, like famous TV shows and movies, and like Fear Factor. There was a period they had like Fear Factor that physically there. And Island of Adventure was like more focused on like storytelling,
fantasy stuff.
Yeah, and like roller coasters and things like that. But like now, like they've expanded so much with like Hogwarts and all of that kind of stuff. So
which is still like a movie experience.
Yeah.
But it's not so like, I don't know, it's like it's really, they've like sunk into a movie. They're not so much talking about like the making of it and the actual movie. They're acting as though the movie's real. which is a little bit different than the way they used to do it, where they'd kind of like put you behind the scenes almost a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that with stuff. But I mean, I don't know which one is more like immersive, I can't really say.
There was that ride. I don't know if you remember. I think it was called Atlantis, where you would like do this walkthrough, and it was like an hour. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like, have
Yeah.
you? It was
Oh, yeah, I do. That thing
yes.
was freaking amazing.
What was that called?
Oh my god, we waited. It was Atlantis, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, and I
that's what it was
remember
called.
you'd have to
We
come
got
back.
a fast pass for it, and then we came
Oh.
back to like get into it. And how do you explain that to somebody? Because like when you first asked me and I couldn't remember it, I was like, "What are you talking about?" But it was incredible. It was like going through
Poseidon's
like
Fury.
a made up world.
Poseidon's Fury.
And you like watched an entire like battle between like these
Yes.
two different like rulers, and it would take you into all these different rooms, and all these people acted like so in character the entire time. And
Sending it to you now.
I mean, I remember one of the best things about Poseidon's Fury was that you would get out of the heat. Like that's what was amazing, is you got
Was
to be like
amazing.
inside the entire time and like just like sit down and like enjoy. And it
was
was a
so-
really, really incredible show. There
It
was
was
a
so
part
immersive.
that's Islands of Adventure,
Yes.
and they went on a big like fantasy kick when I was younger. I would say I was probably like 10 or 12 years old, or
Mhm.
and I would say that they went really, really into like the world of fantasy, where there's like dragons and like I don't know, they did a whole
Dr.
bunch of like
Seuss.
mythological stuff. They did a
Mhm.
bunch of that, and they just created all this crazy shit. Like that was the coolest thing when I was a kid. I mean, I don't know what stuff is like anymore. Like I don't know if it's that good anymore. Like is it that incredible like to a young mind as
It is
it
still
was?
It still is. It's just way more expanded. There's way more of it now than there was before. But they're closing Poseidon's Fury.
Is it still open?
I think they're, and it's terrible because like people were going there for like the last time because like they were, and it's like so because I've been on that ride twice, and it's not even a ride; it's an immersive experience. Like you were saying, like it's like you're a part of the story of like this battle. And they have like visual effects and lighting and things coming down from the ceiling and like
You like walk through it. You like
yeah,
go
you walk
into like
through
all these
yeah
different like rooms. It's just
and
like the
things with like
coolest
different
thing.
yes with different
It
actors.
felt like you went somewhere completely different. And then I remember we would come out like into the daylight, and it would be like, what the fuck? Like
It
I don't
was
know. It was
amazing.
always like that going to like the movies. Like you like, oh, if the sun was still out and you open the door, you're like blinded. You're like, oh, fuck,
You
the
look at
real
vampire,
world?
you're like descend, blah blah blah.
I feel like that's how people feel like, with their VR systems. They'll like take it off and be like, ah.
With people
Because
walking
nothing's as
around with
bright
their
as the
Apple
real
Visions.
sun. I don't
Have you
know.
seen
Yeah.
that? It's so funny. It's hilarious with the people walking around with those like Apple goggle, whatever the fuck they are, and just like, bro, it's not 2040 yet. Calm down.
Eventually, people will be paying to see through those. And it's just like, right now, I feel like you couldn't pay me to put that fucking thing on my face, and eventually they're gonna have me paying for it. It's like they charge you for just everything and anything and make you dependent on it. It's just awful.
The thing that like I've noticed more than anything else is what we think are advancements, right? They are advancements. However, it's a slow process. It's the same thing kind of applies with artificial intelligence, right? I mentioned to you this before. If you take music, for example, there's things that allow you to like literally create where you make your own sound, right? Your own song or whatever. That's all nice and all pretty and whatever. but there's still human work that needs to go into whatever type of production, whatever kind of thing that you're doing. And that's going to apply for quite a long time. Probably longer than we think. Whenever it comes to like anything, it's made by humans, so it needs human interaction. Right? Think about it.
Yeah, I'm very distracted by your shirt. It reminds me of a Monet.
Oh, this one? Which one? The one with the stripes or the...
No, the floral.
I got this in Kohl's. And it's by a brand called Nine West. I have a green jumpsuit from them as well.
I know Nine West. Yeah, they've been around.
I love their patterns. They're very like... This is...
90s.
Yeah, very 90s.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a Monet. Like, that's his style where he does like all the little dots. It's for
With
me,
the-
it's always
pop
been
of pink.
my favorite art style because like I don't know, it like I said, it's just very natural looking. Like it's earthy but like beautiful.
It reminds me
It's
of
relaxing.
flowers that grow on the side of a wall. You see the little
Like
buds.
vines, like flowers.
Yes. Yeah.
Out of the vine.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm supposed to go to a tulip festival on Saturday.
Ooh.
There's a Dutch town called Pella, maybe 40 minutes from here.
Pennsylvania Dutch?
I don't know if it's that specific. I'm not sure what kind of Dutch, but I don't know that any of them live like without electricity or anything like that. They live like regular, but there's like a Dutch town that was built when the people first immigrated there, and the Dutch town still has a lot of like its original architecture.
Okay.
And then they made like rules in the Dutch town where things could only be built like in that style. So the whole little town's like absolutely adorable and like really cute and historic. And then they have a springtime parade that's been going on since the people immigrated to Pella. So there's a big springtime parade and they scrub the streets. So they all come out as a community and it's just a tradition where they put soap and water and they get down on their hands and knees and they scrub the streets. And they all wash their own town before the parade. And it was done like forever ago. Like, I don't know if it's like 100 years ago or whatever, but they
Jesus.
used to do it in wherever they're from, where they immigrated from, because the streets were filthy.
Can these people come to Fort Lauderdale? Maybe because our streets are filthy.
But there were animals because people didn't have cars and all the animals would like shit on the streets. And then I guess
Yeah.
they didn't really have like plumbing and stuff. So people would like piss on the streets, like whatever. So they would scrub
Quick,
the streets.
a little piss and I'll clean it in the morning.
Yeah, I'll have the whole town scrub it. I don't know. They'd scrub
my
these
piss.
streets and then they'd have their parade. And they'd always do it the first weekend of May. And it's just been a tradition forever. So I'm going to go up there and look
Watch
at some
these people
tulips.
scrub their streets.
It's just
Scrub a dub dub.
I don't know. And then like people are wearing like those wooden shoes and stuff. And
Oh,
like,
dear Lord. We're all about the artist. That is the whole purpose of this podcast, period. And you have a really valuable tool. You can share this with artists, people that are creative, someone that can enjoy this podcast and really enjoy the experience of Lost in the Groove. So, with that, let's jump back to today's episode, shall we?
there's like
Only in Iowa, people.
pastries.
Only in
and-
Iowa.
Yeah. No, but
Well,
it'll be
there's other wacko states. Not wacko, like cool wacko. You know, like kind of like, huh? That's a place? Yup. They got traditions? Yup. They scrub their streets after they piss after having a long beer the night before?
They don't
Yup.
piss anymore. That's what they used to do. But they still clean the street out
Let's
of
hold on to traditions while we're
And
at it,
still
okay?
pee in the street. No,
Still
they don't
piss.
I don't know.
Still
they don't
pee
do
in
that
the
part.
streets.
I don't know. I just like people are
Fertilizes
like
the turf.
scrubbing a street in front of me, and I'm just like watching them. It's like uncomfortable, like watching people clean. Sometimes, you're like, oh fuck, I should be like helping or like.
Well, you can multitask, you know.
I don't know.
So
I
it's
just,
pissed and then scrub.
but I think everybody in the town is like, I mean, for some reason, there's not a lot of people of different ethnicities that have moved to this town. Can you imagine why?
Obviously.
And so the whole town is just full of like really, really, really pale blonde people.
White. They're white.
And so it's like, for me, like did I explain to you how like I think that everybody looks like somebody? Like, because like I'm like back around all these white people again. Like I'm like,
Yes.
like I always think like, oh, I know that lady. And it's like, you don't know
Yes.
that lady. She just looks like somebody that you used to know because now you're seeing a bunch of like old white features that you remember. It's really weird. I just think that everybody looks like each other. It's kind of strange. Not everybody. It's a blanket statement, but
No, I totally get that because here's the thing, like as a Jewish person, okay, I'm Sephardic. So we know this kind of true where we kind of look the closest to what we would have looked like 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. Ashkenazi Jews, majority of them are white. Like, they don't look anything like us, but they happen to look like each other.
see, I don't ever know who is Ashkenazi or
Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi.
There you go.
I haven't said it in like maybe forever. Like, I think the last time I used that word is probably like a year ago.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, how often am I talking about different, parts of Judaism?
But well, unless you like talk with somebody like me, yeah. You live in a very Christian state. I don't imagine there's a lot of Jews.
Well, but also like not a lot of people like to draw attention to different sections of it. Like,
I just brought that up
like
because
not really like for me to like talk about. You know what I mean?
Well, I brought it up because you mentioned about the Dutch people, and that kind of led me to the thought pattern of how I kind of experienced that through the Ashkenazi and Sephardi Jewish dynamo shabam. Whoa.
I mean, it's just like, I'm just saying it's kind of wild, like seeing like that many blonde white people. Like, it's just kind of like, whoa. And honestly, like, their hair is like actually like white, like blonde white. And my hair is like, you can see like it's like a dark blonde. So they're more white than I am. And I'm like, oh.
If that is even possible.
They are. And there's tons of them. And they're all more white than me. It's like crazy. So that's going to be cute and fun this weekend. They also pick like a Peliqueen. So they like crown like a little like tulip queen every year. And we used to go to like some competition or something. I don't know what else people do up there, but I guess you just like watch the parade and look at flowers. They had these black tulips a couple years ago or last year or something like that, but it was like a really big deal. I don't know. But I think the people moved from Holland would be my guess.
So they're like OG. They're like the OG Dutch.
Yes. Yeah.
Damn.
There's a lot of really good food there. Like,
I'm sure.
Like, like a lot of like butcher shops and like cheese shops and pastry places. And
you got me at honey and like you got me at cheese and pastry. Like
they have actual honey too, real bees making honey. And
actual
shit.
butter, butter, like real butter.
Real butter.
The churning, you
beat
know.
up by some lady. Like,
You know, this lady knows how to give good head, you know?
my ancestors used to beat some butter, dude. Did I ever tell you that
Beat some
story?
butter real hard, huh?
Where one time I was in the history museum. No, it's like they beat it like that, and they just like, like make that butter. My
Yeah.
grandma used to make butter. She'd make it in like a glass jar, like a mason jar. She'd just like shake the mason jar like a shake weight, and it would just like turn into actual butter. And you just shake it until it wouldn't like move much anymore. And that's when you knew that like it was like ready to be eaten. It's like real
Yeah, it's where
butter.
the fats separate and become a solid.
But my funny story is that when I was probably in like first grade, like we were at the history museum. There's like a Iowa history museum, and it's a big beautiful building, and they've put a lot of really incredible stuff in there. There's an entire section of it that's all just dedicated to like the Native Americans of Iowa and like who used to live there and like how they
Wow.
used to live and like
Whoa.
examples of like their actual teepees and like their artwork and like everything. Like it's incredible. But there's also stuff about like the first like pioneers that like moved to Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and they have
The
like all these
whites.
different things on like on display. So they'll have like a rocking chair that was like, owned by somebody back in like forever. And you're like looking at it like, whoa, that's a real like handmade like chair by some like old pioneer. And then they keep like going down and they'll show you like more and more stuff. And it's like, there's a, an old school like bathing tub, and it's like, holy shit, people used to take a bath in like a big tin can. Like you're like, what the hell?
Do
You're like,
you want to think
just
nuts?
we were like second graders looking at it. Okay, let me tell you the rest though. So then they keep going down the way and there's like a butter turn. And I look at it and I was like, huh. And I was like, that's my name on there. And I was like, oh, that's my ancestors' butter churn in the history museum. Like I was like, oh
Did it
my
say
God.
Andrew? Did it say Andrews on it?
I just remember my mom telling me that like a long, long time ago, my great 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 grandmother had like a butter churn. I should probably pull grandma pull mom in here and ever tell the story or something. But my great 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 grandmother had like a butter churn that had been like handed down like through all the family, and like eventually like somebody like passed away and just like dedicated it, like donated it to the history museum. And I don't know why, that was just like so funny and embarrassing that like my family's butter churn is like one of
That's
the
my
display.
family's butter churn. We used to eat corn and put the butter from the churn on it.
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know how this happened, but like,
Oh my God. It's just an experience. Like, can you imagine and get your hands on that butter churn and just go up and down?
well, there's like artifacts that they like collected of like lots of different like beginnings of civilizations. Like, to be honest, like, yes, the Native Americans were here first, there's all that, but like if you look at my family with their butter churn, that is the beginning of an American civilization, like that type of American civilization. And so like they've collected this butter churn from like the beginning of like American civilization. It just happens to be like a butter churn that someone in my family like way back. So like imagine like a Native American like comes in and they're like, holy shit, is that my bow and arrow? How'd they find that?
Can I get my bow and arrow? I'm gonna go shoot some stags in the back.
But
okay,
it's like they're collecting all these artifacts from like different civilizations, and like they were just people's stuff, and like nobody thought of them as anything like significant or anything like that. Like I have like been through like museums in France or whatever that they like collected like pots and plates and like different things, and it's like I'm sure nobody thought like this would be on display like 500 years from now. Like look at this,
right.
I don't know. This is my stony thought.
No,
if I'm
totally
living in
get
Iowa
that.
now, I'm going to tell you funny Iowa stories about the butter churn at the history museum.
You have exposed the actual full-on experience of what Iowa has to offer, because for a time there, like Arkansas and Iowa was kind of like up on arms. I was like, who the hell lives in Arkansas and who the hell lives in Iowa? And then like you come along in my life and I'm like, what in the hell is Iowa? You
No
know?
one lives in Arkansas.
No one lives in Arkansas, but that's a story for another time. But like, there's just so much I've learned about Iowa, and I just have to say to myself, I'm like, damn,
Turning
there's
butter.
there is some herstory going on over there.
The thing is like, think of how much money I would save if I actually did make my own butter.
True.
I know.
But-
and think of how much money I would save if I actually like had any of my own stuff, you know? And then it's like, here I am poking fun at people churning butter, and then I'm like, damn, like they had their own butter.
Then again, like I said, them giving out hand jobs were probably amazing. Ugh!
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think that like she used to like sit out on the porch, you
Oh
know,
my god!
with like
wow,
a glass of iced tea and
that is
just
so
kind of like,
Midwest.
yeah. I
So
think it was like a nice way to
Midwest.
spend the day. Like,
Oh god,
I don't really know what
Jeez.
churning butter was like.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just buy my butter in the grocery store. You know, the little sticks comes in a pack of 4.
Okay, if you come here, I should take you. You'll be like, what is going on right now? You'll love it. You'll be like, Carissa, what it was? And like everybody will like be like, okay, like, okay.
I would
let me
stick
tell you.
out like a
No.
sore thumb,
This
and
is-
you know that.
Okay, but
I
this
am
is
a sore
different.
thumb.
Let me tell you about this.
Yes.
This is what I'm talking about. We have a place called Living History Farms. Okay.
Oh boy.
And Living History Farms is like, have you heard of like Silver Dollar City? Or okay, what it is it's a historic village, okay, where everyone is in character as though they're part of that time period. So this is like an amusement park, more or less. But it's all like for historical like reasons. So it's like for kids to like learn and for people like have fun, and like it's very interesting. And they've preserved like these buildings, and they've also like built buildings that are like fake. But like when we were kids, they would take us there and they would teach us like things about history. So like they've recreated like what an old town used to look like in the Midwest. So there's like a tiny little like barber shop and a tiny little shoe shop and like a tiny little pharmacy.
Okay.
And then like you can go and see like,
Can you be a bitch to the actors? Can you be like,
you
hey,
don't want to, because they're amazing. Like it's like this man
but
and
I
he's like
have
a
to.
blacksmith, okay? And he's like doing like real actual blacksmith work. And like it's some amazing thing that like someone has taught him, and somehow he knows like the real way that like people used to do it. And it's just like nuts to like watch it. Like you're just like, "Oh my god." And then like all of a sudden there's this man that's like making saddles for horses, and you're like, what is this? And all of a sudden you're like watching a person like create like a saddle out of leather, and it's like, oh my god, like look at how lazy I am on my freaking cell phone all day. Like
but these
this
are
is
actors.
nuts.
They're not actually like.
No, but they know how to do what they're doing. Like they're not
Interesting.
just actors. Like they also know the thing, and then they probably like have like degrees in like history or something like that, and they'll like tell you like a million like facts about like everything that that person did at that time. So like if you go into the pharmacy, the person will tell you about like different prescriptions that were popular and different treatments and why people used them and how often, and you know like what were common deaths of people, and like all this really really interesting stuff. When we were kids, they had us like go out to this like cabin, and like it had like an old like stove, and we had to put like old like fake like coal into it, and like
Oh my
we made
God.
like we like milked a cow to like make like
Grab them titties.
dude, we
squeeze
like
them little
milked a
titties.
cow to like get milk to like make bread to like eat.
Wow.
Like they like taught us like what it was like to like not have food and have to like actually make it like the way that they did. And they have like all these different like historical eras. Like it's really strange. Like they'll go back like even further when you're like legit just like in a log cabin, and that's like all there is. Like there's like different parts of like the park. And then they'll have like stuff that's like more recent that's like really beautiful too. Like these like big beautiful like banquet halls and stuff. It's really nuts. Like I don't know who invested in all of that and like how it got created, but that I think it'd be hilarious to take you there.
Hey, it's Dave, and I quickly just wanted to jump in and say if you've been enjoying the podcast and enjoying this episode, if you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'll be so greatly appreciated. Because here's the thing, someone might read that review and make the choice if they want to listen to the podcast. You get to help grow this podcast with us. How fucking cool is that? Let's jump back to today's episode.
And you'd just be like, what the? Like, it'd be so
Again,
funny if you went like on acid.
Out like
No,
on
it'd be so
acid?
funny. Yeah. Living history farms on acid. No, I don't suggest it because
No, I'm doing this now. No. You put it. You put it out in the universe. Put it out in the universe.
No,
So
you could get arrested. Who knows? It's Iowa. They're a bunch of tight asses when it comes to drugs.
I would wear sunglasses.
They cannot prove anything.
I will stand there like this. I'll stand
you
there.
Can't see me.
Can't see me. I'm invisible.
I'm from the future.
I'm from the future.
I don't know. I would like to see what it's like to go to Living History Farms as an adult. Like
On acid.
I think they made us make soap
LSD.
too or something. We did all kinds of like strange
Soap?
things. Yeah.
Wow.
that is Living History. That is Iowa for you. I gave you some
See,
Iowa info.
we didn't talk about food. We kind of talked about food. Kind of integrated
Butter.
the butter, but into the Iowa with the white, blonde, white people that are
That's
Dutch.
where it started. I started
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about the Tulip Festival, and then it just started going on like Iowa information.
Ow.
And then everyone stopped listening. All the robots stopped listening.
All the fucking robots were like, "We gone, bitches."
Yeah, if anyone is listening to our podcast, could you please let me know that you're a real human being?
Mm-hmm. So, I think prompt. What is your favorite thing about your state?
Oh.
Right?
You first.
My favorite thing about Florida would have to be the artist community. There's a lot of really, really, really cool artists out here.
It's cool.
Yeah. Really cool artists. What about you? What's really cool about Iowa?
I mean, I would say that people are generally kind. Like I would say that people feel a responsibility to do right by one another in general. And like there's always a lot of shitty people in certain areas and different things like that. But I would say that is my favorite thing about this place is that like people kind of feel a responsibility for one another to an extent. Like it would weigh on their conscience to treat someone poorly, which I think is kind of cool. Like that's like one thing that I've noticed because like I feel like a lot of people out in California just like throw someone under the bus or like not help anybody out and just kind of move on and stay
And be
focused.
flaky.
I feel like this place is a little bit more like be a team like for one another, but I mean I've also seen the opposite of that quite a bit since I moved here too, so I can't say that, but I mean some people have treated me really nicely since I moved here. Some people.
Some people. But anyway, prompt. What's your favorite thing about your state?
What's your favorite thing about your state? Let us know you're real.
Yes. So, with that, if you want to find American Groove, you know where to find us at American Groove Pod on Instagram. And if you want to check out the videos, we have a full playlist on YouTube at Lost in the Groove. And if you want to find the podcast, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Got lost in the green pod.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Let's use that for the pod clip.
Sure. Whatever you say. All right, cocksuckers. We love you all, but we gotta get the fuck out of here. My bitches. Or like do some shit. Oh my god.